Welcome to chapter 25 of the book of Exodus. We continue with the description of the laws and all the things that God has planned for the sons of Israel as far as tabernacles and priesthood and everything. And it begins in chapter 25 here, the first fruits of the sanctuary. And basically the first fruit is what you give to God, the best, the first of what you have, and then it calls it a first fruit, but it's not always a fruit. It can be a lot of different items and things, living and non-living. First fruits in the sanctuary. So this is the beginning of describing what will be a sanctuary and the things that will be in it. And here's basically not the usage here, but it's going to be describing what it is. But before it gets into the individual items, it says, "And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel." And the imperative, speak to them and take to me first fruits of all the things which seem good in the heart, the gifts. And you shall take the first fruits of mine, and these are the things that are we should be giving, or they should be giving to God. And this is the first fruit which you shall take from them, gold, silver, brass. So if you're mining, I suppose, and making something, gold, silver, brass for a person that was working in brass, blue for somebody that was blue is basically a material, purple material, and scarlet with this doubled up, and linen being twined. We see this structure a lot. It has to do with the curtains, basically. It's a material. And hairs of goats, which were used for coverings, skins, and so forth, and the skins of rams being dyed red, and skins of acanthina. We have hyacinth comes from that, the blue color. Dermatology has to do with skin. Trichos, with trichinosis, is a disease of the hair. Let's say most of these, like halcone, we have the halcolithic, the brass or bronze age. And incorruptible xyla, xylophone from that. All these derivatives, and they're highlighted in orange, included in our book, English derivative. I'm forgetting what my book is. English derivatives from the Greek New Testament. And then he continues in oil. Generally, it's olive oil here for the giving light, using that for these lamps. Incenses for the oil of the anointing. So this is when they anointed, then they use the incense, and for the composition of the incense. So these incenses are first fruits. Stones are first fruits. So sardius, sardiu, lithus is lithography, writing on hard material, stones. Stones for the carving, for the shoulder piece, and for the foot-length robe. So this is that later like I said, we'll get into the usage here. It's just describing what the materials, getting these things ready. And you shall make for me a agiasma, a sanctuary, and I will be seen by you, a holy place basically, or a sanctuary, and I will be seen by you. Now, that is a lot to say. I will be seen could be means I will be available as far as through the priesthood and so forth. It's not that he's going to be standing there and people are going to see him in that sanctuary, but I will be seen by you. You will come here to this place, and you shall make for me according to all as much as I show to you in the mountain. So he's going to show Moses, and then he'll explain to the people. The paradigma, a paradigm, is a English derivatives, not in our book, so you can add that when it's green. to the English derivatives, book of paradigm is the derivative. A model of the skenes, a scene, where they originally had scenes and acting and tense, and the paradigma of all the items of it, even thus you shall do. So now get all these things ready. They're called first fruits because they're going to be used for the Lord, not for themselves. First item that he brings up is the ark. An ark, there's also the ark, it's a box. The ark of Noah's Ark was a box type of a place where they had all the animals and the 3 stories and so forth. But this is a small box. And he says, and you shall make an ark of testimony, martyriu. A martyr is a person that testifies, from out of incorruptible Ceylon wood. Now, cubits 18 inches, so 2 cubits and a half the length. So 18 is 36, 45 inches, and half the length, and a cubit 18 and a half the width. So it's 27 inches, and a cubit and a half in height. And you shall gild it with pure gold. So it's a box, and there's the dimensions, 2.5 cubits in length, a cubit and a half in width is not as wide, and a cubit and a half the height. So the height of it was the same as the width, but it was longer. And you shall gild it with pure gold. Esothin, exothin. Exo and eso. Exoderm is the outer skin. Eso, inside, outside, exo. And you shall gild it. So they put gild on this, made it out of this incorruptible wood, then gold plated it. And you shall make for it a waved border of gold. I found a picture here. This is somewhat what it looks like. If you go and look Ark of the Covenant up on the internet and you go look for the images, you're going to find all kinds of different ideas that people have come up with, but it's something like that. So the width and the height should be equal. It looks like it's thinner up on the top here, but there's a bearing poles in the top, and so a waved border, twisted gold round about the border. So I'm not exactly sure of this waved border. I don't see any waved border here, but some type of a waved border round about. And you shall forge for it 4 rings of gold, which were there with the poles going through it. And you shall place them upon the 4 sides, 2 rings upon the one side and 2 rings upon the second side. And you shall make bearing poles from out of incorruptible wood. And you shall gild them with gold. So these bearing poles, so here's the rings, here's the bearing poles, and gilded in gold. So this is not correct. None of them have everything correct. Everybody's got all kinds of ideas on what they want to do. And you shall bring the bearing poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to lift the ark by them. And in the rings of the Ark of the Covenant, the rings are dactyles. A dactyl is a finger. If you're dactyl. And so these rings, goes on a finger, but these are larger, of course. In the rings of the Ark of the Covenant will be the bearing poles fixed. Maybe they tied them in, I'm not sure, once they were in there. And you shall put into the ark the testimonies whichever I give to you, and that would be those stone tablets, the testimony. So it's the Ark of the Testimony. It's got the testimony inside. And you shall make an atonement seat, Iliasterion. The atonement seat is this part right up here that is covering the opening of the ark. A lid of pure gold, 2.5 cubits is the length and a cubit and a half width, the same as the dimensions for the ark. And you shall make 2 cherubim, golden. Now this is the word toref ta. Here I have wrought. In other places it's like turned. Exactly. There somehow the wrought. It doesn't say they were cast. Somehow they were made, fabricated. And you shall place them at both of the sides of the atonement seat. Well, the sides of the atonement seat, I would think that would be the ends, and the sides would be over in here. Well, so let's see. We'll continue. You shall make 1 cherub from out of this one side, and 1 cherub from out of the second side, cletus, of the anointment seat. Thus you shall make the 2 cherubim upon the 2 sides, cleti, side, side, side. So I don't know, maybe that's a bad picture I picked out. The 2 cherubim will be stretching out the wings on top, overshadowing with their wings above the atonement seat and their faces to one another. The faces of the cherubim will be towards the atonement seat. So that would, to me, it seems like should be on the side, and their wings would go out, and they would be facing each other and looking downwards to the lid of the iliastrion. So that might be a better description. I have to look for something better. And you shall place the atonement seat upon the ark from above. And so that went on top. And into the ark you shall put the testimonies, which I shall give to you. And I will be known to you from there. So when the priest goes into the Holy of Holies, where it will go, then he will make himself known. And I will speak to you from above the atonement seat. So above, someplace in the Holy of Holies, as we find out. Between the 2 cherubim being upon the ark of the testimony, according to all as much as I give charge to you for the sons of Israel. So there we have the ark, maybe a little modification in the picture. And then we go into the next one is the table of the breads. Loaf is you're thinking about a loaf of bread. It could be unleavened or leavened. Apparently the ones here are unleavened, but the table. You shall make a trapezon. Trapeze comes from that. A table, it's a flat thing, and the trapeze. It's also a table. A trapeze is a bank where people went in and put money on a table. So you shall make a trapezon from out of incorruptible xilu, wood, of 2 cubits being the length, though it's a little longer. Or no, the other one's 2.5, shorter. And a cubit the breadth, so this is not as big, and a cubit and a half the height. Now I found one of those. How close it is here. So here is the table, and it's got the 4 legs and a waved border on the top. Now, and you shall make for it a twisted wave border, gold, round about. Now, I didn't see a twisted waved border of gold in this picture anywhere, so that's probably not a very good picture either. And you shall make to it a rim of a palm width round about. And the palm is there is 3.5 inches. That's what they consider. So that looks like that would be right. And you shall make a twisted waved border on the rim round about. And you shall make it for 4 rings of gold. And you shall make for it 4 rings of gold, and shall place the 4 rings upon the 4 parts of its feet under the rim. Okay, so the 4 feet are right here. Now, I got rounded ones like this on purpose. A lot of them had square, and they're bent, and all sorts of different types of legs you'll find on Wikipedia. But it says, you shall place 4 rings upon the 4 and the rings shall be for holders for the bearing poles, so lift the table. So again, that one does that. That's another bad one. How did I get such bad ones? I don't see any rings on here. So next video, I'll try to find better pictures. As I'm unhappy with this. I got this because I'm looking for these. Most of them had square, but it's called turned, as we find here. And this was the only one that had turned legs. And you shall make the bearing poles from out of incorruptible wood, and you shall gild them pure gold, and the table shall be lifted by them. And you shall make its saucers, and the incense pans, and the libation bowls, and the cups, in which you shall offer a libation in them of pure gold. You shall make them. And you shall place breads upon the table face to face before me also. Well, it does have the breads on there. So, but it didn't have the bearing poles or the rings, or the half of the parts missing. Oh, I'm sorry. Lampstand, the third one. And you shall make a lampstand from out of pure gold. Now here it says this toreftin. Before the word was used for wrought, a wrought cherubim, something that was wrought, something that was fabricated. But in Gesenius, now in the Hebrew Bible, the word is mikshah, number 4749, Strong's Hebrew number. In Gesenius says it's a turned work, and torevtos or torevo is to bore through. So there's an idea of something round to me that they could have put on a lathe type of a thing and made it round. A turned piece. You shall make the lampstand, its stem, and the branches and the basins. So they're turned. They're not wrought. They're not cast. Cast, kenevo, I believe, is cast. And so these were, if they were turned on some type of a lathe, and then they were rounded. Now I found an interesting one because a lot of them, of these menorahs, they're called, they're U-shaped. But there's no, this is the only one I could find. It doesn't have a bend. If it's turned, it would be straight. And it comes out like this. I thought, wow, this is maybe the closest one. So we have the lamps and the different parts of this lampstand. And it says a turned piece, and its stems, branches, basins are all turned around. They're not, they're turned, if that's the case. And the knobs and the lilies will be for it. And 6 branches going forth sideways, 3 branches of the lampstand from out of the one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand from out of the second side. And that's when I thought, well, this is really great, because this is coming out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're coming off of the main thing. The other one, it has a U-shaped, and they're not coming off of the main branch. They're coming off of other parts. So I thought this was a good one here. And 3 basins, Vevteru, we have Deuteronomy, comes from that, the second law. And then 3 basins being shaped nut-like on the one branch with a knob and a lily, thus to the 6 branches going forth from out of the lampstand. So the knobs and the lilies, and they got different cups and flowers and different names for it here. And in the lampstand 4 basins being shaped nut-like, to the one branch the knobs and its lilies, and the knob under the 2 branches from out of it, and a knob under other 2 branches from out of it, thus to the 6 branches going forth from out of the lampstand. Now, good luck in explaining this to me. I would appreciate it. The knob under the 2 branches from out of apparently the one. So from out of the 2 branches from under it. And a knob under the other 2 branches from out of it on both sides, I suppose. So this is the best guess I'm coming up with, is the 2, there they are, and they're underneath. Coming out of the, that shouldn't be there. Well, anyway, it is. And the knobs and the branches from out of it, let them be entirely torefti, or wrought, or turned. If it was turned, then there would be round, from out of one piece of pure gold. They were solid. a lot of places make it look like it's tubing. It comes around and it's all bent, but there's nothing here about bending anything. It's all turned. Sounds solid to me. One piece, from out of one piece of pure gold. And you shall make its 7 lamps, and shall place its lamps. Now see, there's 7 lamps, so the one in the middle does have a lamp. And shall place its lamps, and they shall shine forth from out of the one before it. Now, what does that mean? From out of the one before it. Well, I don't know. Could be like that picture. Now, and its funnel, which doesn't have in the picture, and its under parts from out of pure gold. With a talent of pure gold you shall make all these items. See that you should make according to the impression being shown to you in the mountain, in the imperative. Make it exactly as you seen, not something else. So that's the first 3 things that will be in the holy place and the sanctuary. We'll continue, we see in the next chapter, with the curtains, hooks, and hoops, and we go into that to find out about those. Hope you'll join us. God bless.